Are you familiar with the idea of journey and journey work? Perhaps you're curious about how it differs from meditation. That's what I'd like to talk about today when we explore creating sacred space from a different perspective. Hi, I'm Tracy from Nature's Heart. Welcome back to another episode of Friday Fun in the Soul Garden. We're back outside. Lots of wildlife around, so hopefully I won't get too distracted. It's worth it being outside, and I know I've got these funky shadows as the sun moves through the trees. It's worth it to be outside. So last time we spoke about creating sacred space, I talked about the physical aspect, where we were in, perhaps in a messy, disorganized space, and we talked about the importance of it being tidy, and also how we can get caught up in feeling that it has to be perfect, so we don't actually do the work. We don't actually do our meditation or do our journaling because the space is too messy. So I was reflecting on this for myself because, as I think I shared with you before, I'm in yet another reorganization of my space, so it's messy. And what I recognized is when I was reflecting on this for myself, I thought, I'm still managing my practice even though it's a mess. And yeah, it would be better if my space was tidy and I didn't have piles of stuff everywhere waiting to find new homes. And at the same time, I'm still able to do my journaling and to do my meditation. And I thought, well, why is that? And what I realized is that it's because when I am going and doing my journaling or my meditation, I'm actually moving into a different space. Not physically, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, I'm moving into a different space. So bear with me, this is where it gets a little bit woo-woo. You may have heard the concept of journey or journey work. And that's what I'm referring to. It's this idea of moving into the non-ordinary reality or liminal space. Carl Jung had this idea of this concept of active imagination, where we can take an image or a feeling and work with it, let it expand in this non-ordinary reality. So this is a practice that we cultivate in Druidry. We create this sacred space in the other world, so behind the veil, as we call it. And what this does is it gives us a safe space that we have created outside of the physical world, and we can go there and set our intention for whatever our work is at that time. Perhaps it's doing our lessons, perhaps it's doing a meditation, perhaps it's doing some divination. Any of those are, for me, regular practices where I would go into the other world, into this liminal space. And for me, it's also a place that's where I do my journaling. And I hadn't consciously realized that I'm sitting in this messy room, but I'm journaling. But I'm actually in my sacred space in the other world. So that was an interesting thing for me to realize. And so I wanted to talk about that today because it's important. It's an important part of my healing and spiritual practice. And I thought it made sense to bring it here, perhaps as a jumping off point. I'm being very general in terms of the terminology that I'm using. And for those of you who are familiar with journey work, you may recognize some of the things that I'm kind of lumping together. And my intention is to bring this here as a jumping off point. So if it's something that interests you, then you can explore it further and find how the different aspects and how they may work for you in your own practices. So this idea of liminal space, for me, the best way to think about it is it's that space between sleeping and awake. And so first thing in the morning, we often have this time where we're just waking up. So we're not asleep, but we're not fully awake yet. And there's this in-between time, this beautiful liminal space. And it's very often where we get these fantastic ideas. And if we don't write them down, they can be gone. As soon as we're fully awake, it's like, poof, they're gone. So one thing that I do is I have a notebook beside my bed for both for dreams and for this liminal space, because these are some of the best ideas, and if we don't capture them right away, they're gone. So you've probably had that when you wake up and you go into this liminal space. I've also had people say that when they're anything involving water, so for me in the shower, washing dishes, those are also times where I seem to go into this, almost into a light trance. That's, and you've probably heard that expression. So it's this light trance state. So it may be something that you're curious about and would like to explore some more. If you haven't been on a journey, it may be something that you'd like to explore more fully. For me, the biggest difference between a meditation and a journey is intention. So I talked about liminal space being that time in, like, first thing in the morning between sleeping and awake. That's a natural state. But in Druidry, we cultivate that with intention. So we actually create the intention of what we're going to do in that space. So it's working with something that is a natural state, but working with it intentionally. So in meditation, we go into a place where we are releasing our thoughts. We're letting everything go. It's more of an emptying out feeling for me, whereas journey is a specific purpose. So maybe I have a question that I would like some guidance on. Maybe I would like to explore a relationship with a plant or an essential oil and explore that. That's a very common way that I work with this liminal space. Maybe it's going and doing my journaling and going into that liminal space. In a way, it removes distractions. It puts me in that safe, sacred space and allows things to unfold as they're meant to. So that's what I wanted to talk about today, this idea of liminal space and non-ordinary reality and journey versus meditation. And I know this is a very, very brief overview. I've often been asked, well, what is journey? And until you've experienced it, it's a bit of a difficult concept to explain. So as I said, if it's something that you're interested in, you can find more. I have more videos on this YouTube channel. I think there's some more blogs on my website at www.naturesheart.ca. I do offer journeys. If it's something that interests you, you can contact me through my website. And as I said, maybe there's some ideas that resonate with you and you want to explore a little bit more. So thanks so much for watching. I will look forward to seeing you next time in the Soul Garden. Bye for now.